Hi YouTube, my name is Sean Connors and this is Outsiders. This is a DM's Tips program. We've been asked about, several of you have mentioned that you have trouble writing stories, you get a bit of writer's block. How do you get around that as an experienced DM? And today I'm going to show you the techniques and tips that I actually use to do this. In front of us here, what we've actually got here is a dry white map. You could use a dry white board, you could use paper, but I use this because it's easily rubbed out. I've got a simple waterboard marker that I'm going to use and a simple tissue with some water on it. And so here we go, this is storyboarding. So the first thing we're going to do, and this is particularly applicable for Brandon, is start with the basics. So the first thing, grave robbings. Don't worry about your spelling, mark it on, circle it so you get the impression. The next step to this, of course, is to work out the various tangible links. Okay, so I'm going to start moving away from that. So we know that there's been a spate of grave robbings, particularly in the last 3 months, and there's been 3 of those, so we'll mark on that as well. 3 specific ones that we're going to focus on within our story. Let's move that further back. Now, who's been committing those grave robbings? So we know that the grave robbers are, in the case today for my story, Grimes and Greaves are the guys, and they are, what do they do for a living normally? So they're handsome cab drivers. So they're the guys responsible for the grave robbing. So let's move that around. So what else do these guys, where do they take the bodies, and what is the real reason behind it? So once they have a body, so let's assume here, let's link up the dots a little here, there's going to be a line between the bodies being taken and handsome cab drivers. Where do they go? So they take the bodies off to a hospital in London. And they hand them over to a doctor. I've not decided on the doctor's name yet, but I'm going to pop him over there. Now, we've also got that they've been unlucky because, let's flick back across here, so the 3 bodies that they've been dealing with, one of those bodies is very unusual. They shouldn't have dug it up, but they did by chance. That body was a body that was put on top of another, so it shouldn't have been found. So I'm going to call that body X, okay? That was already placed in there, and it was placed in there by, in this particular case, the Reverend whose cemetery they stole it from. Now, one of those 3 bodies is going to be having been taken from Highgate Cemetery in London, so that's the link back here across to that. So that's body X, and there are 2. We know there are 2 others, so at the moment I'll just leave the little lines running off it to show that I've got to think about that later. So body X, what was it? Why is it so significant? Why is it important? Well, because body X was a mutilated body. Now I'm focusing here on a sort of a Cthulhu style story, so it was a mutilated body. I've got a tangible idea that I was thinking about using sort of a Jack the Ripper's been continuing its 1890s sort of London, so I'm going to put a little link up here. So we know that Jack the Ripper is still working. He's got powerful friends, so he's still working. A body is one of his, and he's got powerful friends who cover up for him. So cover up, over there, cover up. And so what you've got already, you see, is you've already got your tangible tree that's building across your map here. I'm going to start moving some other bits out of the way. So that's not really the focus of the grave robbings. Obviously the players will be focusing on those grave robbings and investigating it. So obviously through the course of their actions they're likely to go to Highgate Cemetery. This is where it gets interesting. The Reverend who runs Highgate Cemetery is responsible for putting the mutilated body into the grave. So I've put a little link off to him, to the mutilated body. The Reverend himself works for somebody called the Baron in the past. The Reverend has on him, as a link, a tattoo. And that would be of Uncle Ludd, lighthouse keeper. Date to be decided, but you get the idea. So there's tangible link. Plus, of course, the Reverends would have memorabilia. Sorry, I haven't spelled that right, but I know what it means. So these are quick, tangible links. So there's memorabilia, tattoo to Uncle Reverend. I've got a vision of when the characters initially go to speak to the Reverend that he's going to be helpful but shifty. Oh, I know he's going to be helpful but shifty. When they next visit him, the scene that I want to set, bring down over here, the Reverend is seen in the window. Seen in the window, but won't answer door. Okay, I know what that means, and basically what it is the fact that the Reverend will actually already be dead. He'll have already taken his life, but the players won't know this, but that's where they'll come into all the clues that you previously see about him having a tattoo, because they'll obviously examine him, the fact that he has memorabilia around Uncle Ludd. What's Uncle Ludd? Uncle Ludd is a creature that inhabits, and the same for the Reverend, let's put it, Innsmouth, up here. So we've got the Reverend, who originally came from Innsmouth. We've got the tattoo of Uncle Ludd. We've also got the Baron, the 3 links into Innsmouth. So we can see that that's there. So that's pretty good. Obviously, the Reverend himself must owe the Baron something. There must be a hold between the two. So there's a hold between these two. So again, I'll just put a little line in here that I know that there's some reason that the Reverend's got a hold on. And so what we're really doing here, very quickly, as you can tell, is we're very, very quickly storyboarding an entire storyline, and we're doing this at the moment in just under 7 minutes. We've already come up with quite a few pieces. Now, just based on this alone, you can see that we can take the story into the direction of Innsmouth. We can obviously quickly work out what's key, and the reason I'm sharing this with you is to work around things that are important. So we go back to the beginning, grave robbings. Do we need to know too much about that? Well, only the most recent 3. So because those are the 3 that have been reported in the press, those are within 3 months. So we need information about this. Okay, who? So that's the first thing, who. So you need to think about who. You need to think about a picture for Highgate. Perhaps you want a picture for Greaves and Grimes. Perhaps these 2 characters here, they need a picture as well. Picture on those guys. Picture. We know that they're handsome cab drivers, so where do they operate out of? So there's another little tangible line. So I'm going to say Marylebone. And I'm also then going to say that actually, interestingly enough, where the doctor is, the hospital doctor, that link leads back there because they operate out of the same area. Hospital in London would indeed be Marylebone Hospital, which would make sense. So here we have that. So what we've really got here is a storyboard. It's a very quick, easy method to begin tracing the steps that you need to create a fluid, although very convoluted, but very fluid storyline. Once I've written that down, I can then rub that out and then go into the next steps. And I think you'll find this is a very, very good technique for DMs who want to track their stories. You can work out all the ins and outs of your story. You know, you've got this little link in from the mutilated body found, Jack the Ripper and Powerful Friends. It's a cover-up of some kind. You can easily link that back, because that cover-up can clearly be linked all the way back up here to the Baron, who's the powerful, influential friend. So that all makes sense. He's got powerful people working in London doing the cover-up and getting rid of the bodies that way. So you know, these poor hapless fools have fallen their way into it. So there's loads of things that you can do with a story, and I wanted to share it because some of you say you suffer from writer's cramp, various problems when you come to DMing, and you're not quite sure how to storyboard. This technique is fairly simple, and when it's all said and done, if you make any mistakes, you can just rub them out. It's as simple as that. You can just rub those mistakes out and, you know, put a new line in. Anyway, I've been Sean Connors. This has been DM's Tips. I hope you found it of some use. Until the next time, take care of yourselves. See you then.